2030.
Saudi Arabia, the public investment fund.
It's a
There's
big
a lot of
mission.
excitement
This
around
transformational
specifically.
change. Every aspect of the kingdom, economic, social, cultural, religious.
The 2030.
This is the 2030.
Yalla.
This is the 2030 episode 63. Hey, Hannah, what's up? How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Look at us. It feels like a lot of podcasting now, like playing catch
I know.
up.
I'm like, what? We have another episode? Oh,
Our-
it's just once a week, and that's normal.
It's like, nope, we're back doing our normal thing. It's great. I've loved catching up with you on the last show. Loved getting to all the news. That was kind of cool. What do you think about going to 7 news items a week, Hannah? Do you think that's something we could? No head shaking.
I'm
Okay.
sure we could do that. I just don't think that people care that much about our
Yeah,
opinions.
I think at
on
that point,
seven things that are
people are
happening.
asleep. Yeah.
I think that we could do more news if people want it, but we need to get some feedback with people demanding it before we should up it.
We need end user signaling on more news items, which I don't think is going to be forthcoming.
No.
And that's okay. That means less work for us, more 20-minute intro segments like we did last week. Sorry
No.
for everybody. We had to catch up. Okay. So
Yeah.
you don't like it? Sorry. But
Did you get any feedback on that? I wonder.
I did not on that. I don't
Okay,
think people,
okay.
I don't know. If you don't like it, listen, you can go in and actually it's in the
Just
show
fast
notes.
forward.
We actually try to put the timestamp for each segment. If you think us talking about like flights and food and, conference experiences is boring, cool. That's totally fine. Nobody cares. Just go to the next thing. We're just happy
Yeah.
you're here.
Really,
like when you put a
really
buffet out,
happy.
you don't say, hey, you have to eat the eggs and the sausage. You're like, no, you go. This is for you. Whatever you want, right? And then you get a lot of food waste.
I don't know where you went with that. But anyways, yes.
It's early here.
I
I'm
agree,
a little
I think.
yeah. So we have a good show. You're going to do a deep dive this week. We will get back to guests, etc. very soon. We're working on that. Guests, for those of you listening in podcast land, it's just a lot of coordination with schedules and things like that. So we try to plan them out well in advance, and we're going to get back into the momentum, the flow of that soon. So, mark your calendars because it's coming. But yeah, no, good show this week coming. I am excited for your deep dive. I've got some feedback here. This is on a video. I don't even know when this video is. It looks like maybe a year ago. It's kind of got the old Chiron we were using, which was cool, but our new one's even cooler. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube 2030. It's awesome. But this is from @NextWorldAction8828. Where does all that fresh water come from? And I was like, what are you talking about? I had to go watch the video again. And it was about agriculture development. And in the B-roll, there's like a ton of water. And I was kind of thinking, I do get I get this question actually quite a lot. It's like, where's the water from in Riyadh? If you look at Riyadh and all across Saudi Arabia, right? I mean, most of it is desert. And often I look like with my oldest son, I'm like looking at Google Maps and like, check it out, man. And like kind of zooming in on stuff. And we look at Saudi Arabia, it's like, look. And then you look at the US and it's like mostly green. And then, so the water in Riyadh, it comes from both the aquifer underneath, but most of it comes from, a little known place called the Eastern Province of Riyadh, where they're running desal operations like you wouldn't believe. They are piping that water 400 kilometers, I think, all the way across the desert right into the heart of Saudi Arabia,
They
Riyadh.
sure are.
Yeah. And so not a lot of people know that, and that's a long way for water to travel. So that's where Riyadh gets its water. They are working on doing a better job with Green Riyadh, kind of capturing when they get, their few inches of rain a year, not having it just kind of like roll off into nothingness, but kind of recapturing it, reusing it, which water should be used for. But yeah, there isn't a lot of water in Saudi Arabia. You're onto something, Next World Action 8828, but they managed to make it work. So there you go. That's the feedback I just wanted to read. We don't get a lot of questions like that in terms of like what we're talking about. So I thought, whatever. Thought that was cool.
Yeah. No, thanks for highlighting that. And yeah, it's great to be able to answer questions and continuously decipher the the mysteries of Saudi Arabia on this podcast.
Speaking of Riyadh, oh wait, you're not going to Riyadh. You're going to
No.
where in the world is Carmen Sandiego going next? You're going to the Eastern Province, right? This coming week, racking up the miles.
So I used to love that song for Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, but the show wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't
Anyway,
really remember the show.
Because it wasn't very good.
Oh,
but
was
I
it
am
the
on my way.
Nickelodeon? It was like live,
It
and
was
they like you
Nickelodeon.
could. It was like a game show, right, for kids?
No, it was a show. It was a cartoon where Carmen Sandiego was like, I don't know, solving mysteries or something. I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It wasn't very good. But I still do say Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego sometimes myself because it was very catchy. I am going to the Eastern Province. I'm going home with my family to see, my parents and my extended family. So I'm really looking forward to it. And actually, I'm not on holiday. I will be working while I'm there, which is always a pleasure. And it's great to do more face-to-face work when I'm in the kingdom. So
that is great. Well, enjoy. That is your third trip to the kingdom in the last 5 or 6 weeks. You should just move there. No, I'm
know,
kidding.
Right? No, it's true. It's true. You're not the only person to say that, but there are forces that are out of my hand. Inshallah, one day it will all work out and we can move back. But for the time being, it is more of a twice, 3 times, 4 times every couple months situation. So excellent. Well, I have a deep dive for us.
Let's get to it. Yeah. No 30-minute intro this time. Let's jump right into it.
Let's jump right in. So my deep dive today is on skills and soft power in the future of Saudi Arabia. And the reason I'm combining all of these is because I recently finalized a paper. It's still not out, but I'm giving everybody a little bit of a sneak preview on what it is that we discussed in that paper, and I will share it when it is out. But in the meantime, I thought we could do a little deep dive because the information in it I recently updated and just think it's super interesting. There was also a new report that was out that was a collaboration by the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development and the World Bank that I thought was super interesting. So that in combination with some of the work that I've been doing on skills and the ecosystem within the kingdom is kind of what really what sparked this. So basically, I mean, when we talk about the future of work, we imagine AI, automation, green jobs, but the thing is, really, the backbone of a thriving economy isn't just technology. It's the system that develops and deploys human skills. And today, we're going to dive into how Saudi is building a national skills ecosystem, not just to boost jobs, but also to reshape the economy, identity, and also global influence. So when we look at the way work is being redefined globally, nearly half of the skills that people rely on at work today are really expected to shift significantly by 2027. Climate transitions are creating millions of new green jobs. Automation is transforming entire industries. And aging populations around the world are forcing countries to rethink how they train and retain and retrain talent. And the global skills system matters globally because the workforce is being reshaped by these mega trends: tech, climate change, demographics, also literacy gaps, inequalities in labor markets, and rapidly shifting job demands. And according to the World Economic Forum, which constantly produce a lot of information and literature around skills of the future and jobs of the future, 44% of workers' skills are going to be disrupted in the next 5 years, and 60% of workers are going to need retraining before 2027. And green transitions alone are projected to create 30 million new jobs globally by 2030. So there's a lot of effort that is being put toward greening the labor markets around the world. And governments really are realizing that fragmented training programs just are not enough. What's needed is a coordinated skills ecosystem that links education, labor markets, governance, and private sector needs. And to be completely fair, I completely believe in that because that is exactly where my research all comes together. And I really do focus on all of those areas because they are incredibly important and integral to creating a thriving workforce for the future. But traditional education systems alone, they cannot keep up. So governments are really moving from scattered training programs to more coordinated system level strategies. And the kingdom really is working toward this. So this is different ways to build national skills pipelines that are flexible, demand driven, and future proof. But I also want to say they also have to be supply driven as well. So we have to motivate young people to want to go into these different industries and really kind of broaden their horizons and put them at the center of this as well. So there is a lot of moving parts to really make this work well. Saudi Arabia is betting on skills because it's not just an economic reform story, it's also part of a much bigger vision, Vision 2030. They want to diversify the economy, empower people, and position the kingdom really as a global player. And a core pillar is the Human Capability Development Program, which aims to give citizens skills and mindsets they need to thrive in a fast-changing world. So that's a vision realization program. And under it, there are many initiatives and KPIs that are set for the different entities within the kingdom to really meet in order for them to make sure that they are working toward developing skills within the economy. And so it's not just adding a couple new training centers here or there, but it's this ecosystem that we were talking about. So the strategy is built on 5 big pillars: good governance and coordination, which ensures that all players from ministries to private sector are pulling in the same direction. Demand-led training is a big part of this. So that means that you're aligning skills with the real needs of the economy, not just theory and academic papers. Real-time labor intelligence, so using data to predict skills shortages and opportunities. Quality assurance, so making sure skills are credible and portable. And partnerships, so really bridging education providers and industries together so training translates into actual jobs. And to make that real, the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Development created a skills and training deputyship, national sector councils, and labor market information system that tracks where skills are needed the most. And a flagship initiative, the WAD National Training Campaign, has already delivered over 1 million training opportunities with more to come. I have also written a little bit about how this is positioning Saudi Arabia as a global player. It's not just about workforce planning, but actually soft power, because the country is shaping how it presents itself to the world through what people within the kingdom know. So it's not only training engineers and coders, but it's also investing in arts, in culture, in diplomacy and literature, and cultural scholarship programs are sending students to top creative institutions abroad. Culinary academies are training chefs who blend local identity with global technique. Initiatives like the Red Sea International Film Festival are giving young Saudis a platform to tell their own stories. So they're really not just an economic tool, they're part of national storytelling. And youth are really at the center of this. So when we talk about the strategy having this demand-led training, we also really do need to think about the supply. And we need to think about how young people are building these ambitions. It's because young Saudis are really at the heart and center of this transformation. They're learning new skills in AI, in tourism, in culture, and diplomacy. And they're learning also how to represent their country on the global stage. And of course, the challenge is really making sure that success to these the success of this project is that these opportunities are available to everybody. So it's, it is about leveling a playing field and making sure that these programs are rolled out. And the kingdom has recently opened 2 public arts and cultural academies for the primary and secondary school kid ages, as well as the announcement of the new arts and culture university in Riyadh. So there are plans to really make this more widely available to everybody through public sector education. The strategy really echoes a path that's taken by other countries. I mean, people really like to benchmark in Saudi Arabia. So you can say that this is kind of a pathway that Singapore or South Korea have taken, where you really invest in skills very, very early on. You build robust ecosystems, and you use that as the foundation to amplify your global influence. And the Saudi twist on that is blending that model with cultural projection. So it's really about shaping an economy that competes, but a story that travels. And I don't know if anybody saw the National Day kind of commercial where at the end it was like, it's not about what you hear, it's about being here. And I
Yeah.
think that Saudis are starting to get a lot better at telling their story. It is about coming and being in Saudi and really, really like telling a story in a different way, because what people have heard is not the story, and therefore this new approach to storytelling is already setting a different tone and like kind of putting the kingdom on a different trajectory when it comes to telling the story. So if you step back, you'll see that it's more than just education reform, it's nation building through skills development. And a strong ecosystem in the skills space will make the economy much more resilient, but it also will shape how a country is seen through its students, its innovators, its artists, its workers. It's basically today's training programs can be tomorrow's diplomacy. So as we push toward Vision 2030, it's not just about building new industries, it's building new narratives that are powered by people. And that's what makes this shift so important. Skills are no longer just a workforce issue, they're a strategic asset. So I think it's just a very exciting space to watch.
Yeah. I thought you were going to do a deep dive on golf. So here I am teeing up a bunch of golf talking points and here we are. Obviously kidding. I think, no, really good. Very good. I think a couple things. So Singapore, you mentioned Singapore and Korea, they did their skills revolutions. That was during like a totally different, time and economy. Theirs was an industrialization based kind of revolution for their skills. Saudi Arabia has a different paradigm in front of it. It's doing it during digitization, right? I mean, in the age of AI, in the age of everything being sort of digital. So it's a more complex transformation. It's not quite as simple. And so that's a challenge, but also an opportunity. I mean, they could become a case study in leapfrogging from oil economy to skills economy, skills power. And you use soft power, which I'm going to come to in a second. You can do that within a single generation, but that's the challenge in front of authorities. I think when you're talking about skills, governments kind of chart the course on, having a transformation like this. And that's what the government is doing. I think you laid that out well. I think they seed the ecosystem. So they do, what they're doing is sort of a multi-prong kind of approach, a top down, really try to make it as broad as possible. I think it's the private sector, though, that defines demand for those skills and that places those skills into the economy, creates a reward, as it were, on the other side, which is money. And I think that's where Saudi Arabia is like kind of in this position where it has this sort of broad blueprint and plan and is executing on that plan at the government level and in the government, quasi-government from a strategy level. It's not onto the private sector to pick up those skills and complete the transformation. I think another thing you mentioned that's interesting is creativity. As a skill, it's sort of like it's also like a strategic industry. I mean, you kind of mentioned this, but film, gaming, esports, design, food, like those can be export categories for Saudi Arabia if the whole thing comes together. Like you have the authorities and the government and the stakeholders, you could say, like setting the stage, and then you have these industries sort of picking it up, as I mentioned. They're training in a way storytellers for the kingdom, and that's pretty valuable. Not just technicians, because those can be any nationality, but storytelling is unique to a country or a place. Really good. I mean, I think also you have skills like one of the things that is valuable about skills is it is a national security asset. I mean, like when you have skills that are local, I mean, not national security and like defense, although in defense, but when you have a localization of skills, that gives your country, that gives the kingdom value and security versus, against trends in, shifting trends in AI. And as the wind blows, if you're ahead of it and you have the skills locally, you adapt very quickly. If not, you're always sort of one step behind, seeking more foreign talent to come. You're always going to be playing that catch up game. Saudi Arabia wants to get ahead of that. And we always talk about local content on the show. It's kind of my last thought on what you said. It is really interesting. I mean, that is a huge drive by the PIF and the government to localize content. But to do that, you need localized intellectual capital. Like you need local skills to like have local content. I mean, you could come in and kind kind of get it started, but at some point it needs to be localized skills that actually drive it forward. And I think this is like a emblematic of the new Saudi Arabia, that we're talking about this and thinking about this. Good deep dive. I'm surprised. I'm shocked. What a great deep dive. No, but actually, well done, Dr. Han. I don't know if you have any replies to that, but
Well, I think that within my deep dive, as much as I talked, I had so much more to say, because I think you can take skills and you can look at it from so many different directions. And, I was just at the Learn conference. We talked about it briefly, but one of the things that we really talked about was the importance of storytelling, and how transformation can only happen when you can tell a story well, because really, people aren't going to get on board and really kind of accept the challenges that are going to come along with a new transformation, because the ride's never going to be smooth. So you have to tell the story for people to want to come along. And I think that the vision really does a great job of telling that story. And because we have a North Star, we have a goal, we're all going toward one thing, it makes it easier to think about the transformation as an ecosystem instead of as a one-off or a one thing that we're doing. So with skills, as you mentioned, yeah, there's a whole range of skills that we can develop. That there's I know that there's a new skills taxonomy that's been developed by the Ministry of Human Resources. I know that there's, a national qualifications framework that's been in play for several years, maybe not activated in the same way that it could be, but that really is showing that, when you gain certain knowledge and capabilities, those can grow in sophistication over time, and therefore you can be a big catalyst for change within different industries. The way we're measuring success in education and training has also evolved significantly around the world. We're starting to move away from traditional ideas of the only way to measure success is through test scores, and we're looking at competencies. People are looking at social and emotional learning in a different way. People are thinking that that is actually a cornerstone, and if we don't get that right, then the actual performance on these tests is going to be short-lived before people experience burnout, or before we understand that they've actually just been taught to test instead of knowing how to apply those skills in real life. So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this, but I think, again, as somebody that's people often aren't really sure what kind of research I do and what I'm looking at, somebody that's really concerned about how those different elements come together, I think we're doing a really, really interesting, a really good job in an interesting way. But I do think, for me, what can be missing a little bit is making sure that we are putting the human at the center of it. And I think we are, but I think that sometimes you get caught up in the targets and you forget that it is about the humans that tell their stories, and it's about empowering young people to really do what they do well, the best possible way they can do it. And that, for me, yes, demand-driven training and planning is super important, as long as you're also focusing on developing really, really strong, resilient, adaptable, all of those 21st century skills, those soft skills that we need, as well as the technical ones. So we need all of those together in this age of AI, or else we're not going to make it. And I think that knowing that and seeing it unfold in this ecosystem is exciting. And I think that there's just some really, really great examples and case studies. And so when my paper's out, I'll share that for those case studies. But I think that you can just look at what's going on. When you look at all these 10,000, jobs in this industry, a million jobs in that sector. These are all basically underpinned by training programs that have been designed with great minds to really achieve these numbers.
100%. You're going to learn today. Can we get to the news?
Let's get to the news.
Let's get to the news. Good job, Dr. Hanna. Thank you for that. Okay, the news, Dr. Hanna. We're not doing 7 today, or 6, or whatever we ended up doing last episode. We'll be back to 4, as mentioned, but good news, because we're caught up. That's why. There is a lot of news out there, and selection process, not the easiest. But again, we try to highlight things that are interesting. This is like 5 news items in one. We get some Red Sea updates for the boys and girls out there. Red Sea Global will soon launch luxury product in Italy. This is according to its CEO, John Pagano, who mentioned this to Reuters at a conference, I believe. This is a global expansion for Red Sea Global. Everybody remembers that they were Red Sea International, and then there was a brand pivot. It became Red Sea Global, and people were like, "What's the difference?" And it's like, well, now we know the difference. They're going to be expanding Red Sea to other countries, which is cool. Italy, of course, is my absolute favorite destination to visit for vacation. It's not even close. It's maybe my I guess we got a third favorite country is Saudi, U.S. Not in that order. The comments were made. This was in an interview. There isn't a lot of detail. It's the next summit, the next Gulf summit. This was in Abu Dhabi. He also added that he will be joining the board of NEOM, which is its own news item. That's of course the Giga project in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. It's going through a bit of tumult or transition on its own. So details are scarce on kind of both of those. But the Reuters journalist that sat down with Pagano got some news out of him. The other piece of news was not mentioned in this article. You mentioned it to me when we were talking about this earlier. I should have said when I said CEO John Pagano, I should have said Saudi Arabia's own John Pagano. He has been granted citizenship by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It also granted that same citizenship was Uber co-founder Travis Kalanick. So congrats on your new Saudi citizenship. And yeah, that's cool. Also, Red Sea opened its first hotel on Shura Island like this week. It's called the Red Sea Edition, which is cool. And Qatar Airways announced this week as well that it launched its first flight to Red Sea International Airport.
That was going to be my only contribution to this.
Well, I'm sorry, but you got to be a little bit more original than the genius flow of news barf that is coming out of me right now. But there's a lot going on in Red Sea, and
let's not use that word on the podcast again. But
news barf.
It's very
okay.
no.
Yeah, I guess it's not. Yeah.
That is great news.
The
to
airport.
Share.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry,
go for it. I actually don't really have anything else to add. Like I said, I was only going to say Qatar Airways is not going to fly there directly. So you stole it. So go for it.
The airport looks so cool. It's a Foster's and Partners design, and you see these designs and like they look AIE, and they were rendering, so they're supposed to look that way. And you're like, are these things going to look exactly like this? And I saw on Instagram this morning where it was like, this is the progress and this is the design, and it's like pretty much exactly like it was delivered to the rendering. So good job on the execution there, because that looks dope. I need to go. I need to go. Maybe I'll take my family, hang out with Ronaldo once I save up the money. Anyway, Red Sea.
I mean, I would love to go. Honestly, I really think that there's so much to see. And so, one day, inshallah, as now things start opening up and it's easier to get there. I'm going to go on to my news because I don't have anything to say about this other than I want to visit. Is Saudi launches its ambitious $7 billion high-speed rail project known as the Land Bridge, which is going to be connecting the kind of the port city of Dammam with the port city of Jeddah. Basically, it's going to go across a bridge across the kingdom, approximately 1,500 kilometers, linking the two main ports. But it'll have Riyadh positioned at the center as a hub connecting both ends, and it will drastically reduce travel time, particularly on the Riyadh-Jeddah corridor, where it's a 12-hour car journey, and that's going to be compressed into just 4 hours, less than 4 hours. That's going to redefine the kingdom's geographical dimensions in terms of travel. It's just going to make it much easier to get from one part of the kingdom to the other. And it's going to expand the national railway network from 5,300 to over 8,000 kilometers. It's laying groundwork for this very robust, interconnected transportation system. And I am really excited for it. I travel by train quite a bit. I actually learned how to travel by train in Italy when I was in university, and I lived there for a few months, and really, really got good at understanding the whole idea of, getting your tickets, finding your platform, what carriage, your seats. It's not, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science, but it's also not intuitive if you never learned how to do it. I also have taken the train between Dammam and Riyadh a few times, and Dammam and Hassa, because it goes through there. It's not my favorite train, so I'm very excited about this development. It's going to improve the efficacy of both passenger travel as well as freight travel. So that's pretty cool. It's just going to go to major industrial hubs as well as allow people to travel quickly across the kingdom by train.
Yeah, I can see it now. The CEO of the Saudi Railway Company, SAR, which is also the acronym for their currency, driving a golden spike in between the two, connecting it just like the Transcontinental Railroad. And I could see him missing with his swing. And then just regular rail worker comes in and hammers it in, and everybody celebrates. Great painting, great story. I love this because, first of all, like 4 hours about between Riyadh and Jeddah, roughly that's the same amount of time for a flight when you factor in like getting to the airport, checking in, maybe even longer,
Definitely.
actually. I don't know. Depends on how much time you give yourself before flights. I'm not great at that. I think this is awesome. I mean, I think obviously this improves travel, but freight services, you mentioned it. I mean, that's kind of part of the whole supply chain resilience. I mean, really tying together the ports via rail, massive move for Saudi Arabia. Love it. Can't wait for this. I will be taking this train when it launches after some safety tests, of course. Yeah, I mean, like, really, really good. Very exciting news for the kingdom,
Good times.
So, did I miss anything? Like, was there anything else I should have gotten to on that? I can't even
No,
find.
I think
Okay.
you can move on.
You want to move on? Okay. It's not our best news segment. That's okay. We're still kind of
I
getting
think it's
back.
pretty good. These are important things.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, we have we have a new IPO rush in Saudi Arabia, and it's a product that I love, coffee. By the way, can I just ask, why do they call it? Why can't I get a real cup of American coffee anywhere outside of America? Not just Saudi, but Saudi especially. They always call it Americano, and they take an espresso and then they put a bunch of water on top. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, why can't I get
Have you
like
had like Dunkin' Donuts has the best drip coffee? Like, what are you even talking about?
Dunkin' Donuts
It's
is
everywhere in Saudi.
yeah. They use
You
a
don't like
light
it?
brew. No, it's like light and bitter.
They
People
also
love it.
do it in other parts of like in other cafes that are American brands that I don't go to very often anymore, if ever at all. But like you can get American coffee. You can. You don't only.
You're using the power of commerce to make a point.
I am.
Those brands. Okay, good. Okay. I'm not doing that for Starbucks because like they do what I do at home. That's what I want. And I can't find anybody else that doesn't. Then I go to Starbucks in Saudi Arabia and I'm like, why did you drop a bunch of water in my coffee? That's not what I asked for. Anyway,
It's because not enough people order drip coffee, and therefore it would just get stale and they dump it, get stale and they dump it, get stale and they dump it. So instead they make a fresh shot of espresso for you and they put some hot water in it. That's basically the reason why. Because if you went and you ordered filter coffee in Saudi, it'll likely be old. Yeah, it'll just have been sitting there, doesn't taste nice.
It is cool how coffee just like totally changes in taste. Like when I make it in my pot, it's a really simple like contraption. I get like the $10 ones. They break once a year, and I just trash it. But it's like the
they're
fresh
better.
comp. Oh,
completely
man.
Agree.
Anyway,
I'm a trained barista, right?
I did know that. Tell me more again. Can you go on with that? I forgot about that.
I used to own cafes, so I'm a trained barista. I haven't made coffee in a while, but like I learned the whole thing, like all of it, like how to select the beans, how to grind it, how to use a grinder, how to use the espresso machines, how to fix an espresso machine, how to clean an espresso machine, how to froth the milk, how to make all the different varieties of coffee. Like, do I remember most of it? No.
Are you like you said a couple of interesting things. You own cafes, plural. You have like where's your IPO at? Yeah.
No, the company doesn't exist anymore, but I mean, it was a startup that I joined when I first moved back to Saudi.
What was it called?
The company was called Yerim Arabia, and our cafes were called Otakushe. And this is a big shout out to Otakushe. I get a little misty. We talk about it because it was an incredible concept, but it was before its time. Back in 2005, 6, 7.
Whoa,
And it
way before
lasted
its
for
time. 20
way before its
years before
time.
its time. Look at you. And now you're back as an entrepreneur. You know what? Congrats. You probably are going to apply
I
everything you
was
learned. Yeah.
like, I was definitely in this like kind of entrepreneurial space. It shaped the beginning of my career, and then I left that and I went more into like kind of a solid job for a while, before all sorts of other things. But I didn't stay in the company for more than 3 years, and it continued to run for several years after I left. And we expanded beyond Otakushe. We had 3 different brands. So we had Otakushe, Burger Joint, and Graffiti, which was like a pizza and subs brand. But we had, I want to say at the height of it, like 7 branches of Otakushe cafes. There was one inside Prince Muhammad University. There was one in Lahran Mall. There was one on the Corniche. There was the original one in Al-Hada. There was one in like a strip mall that's kind of over by La Zizia. Maybe it was 5. I think there were more. There was one in Dammam, I think, as well. Yeah, no, maybe 7. I don't remember anymore because this has been many, many years. And I left the operations and management after being CEO for a while, actually.
Wow. So the loss of your skills in the startup did not prevent it from keeping running. And had you done it like in 2018, you would be out there. Do they ring the bell on the Tadawul? I don't know. I don't think they do that. But anyway, that's...
You think we would have gone public? I don't know. We could have. I think there were a lot of forces that we were fighting an uphill battle in 2005. The infrastructure to run a small company like that was supply heavy in terms of, we imported our coffee because we were exclusively fair trade. Coffee and tea. People didn't even know what that was back then. Like none of the big chains were fair trade coffee. So we had a partner based out of Boston, actually, that called Equal Exchange, and I believe they're still around. So we used to import our coffee from there, but we had to import in such large quantities and order cups and sugar in such large quantities because nobody catered to these smaller outfits, right? So we had to then very quickly scale up a warehousing department and a central kitchen and all sorts of other things because we couldn't just be one small little cafe very easily.
Okay. Whoa, but that's amazing. I mean, so I'm like I should say we are bringing the coffee that I like from the United States to Saudi Arabia, like when we move there, because like they stopped selling Starbucks dark French roast in Saudi Arabia. I have no idea what happened between the first year we did this kind of winter snowbirding activity into Saudi, and the second year they just didn't sell it. They sell Verona and some other stuff, and we couldn't find French roast. And I'm like, I'm a simple man. Okay. I need this is what I need. You don't have it. So we're going to have like a significant portion of a suitcase dedicated to my caffeination. So there you go. Anyway, back to the news. We could talk about this more, but we're short on time. Anyway,
we don't have to talk about it.
We don't have to, but we'll come back because there's more questions I want to ask. But there's coffee's the next IPO rush. Here we are again. Several Saudi companies are lining up to sell shares on the local exchange next year, and it's led by food and beverage brands looking to capitalize on rising consumer spending. 500,000, the coffee chain founded by 2 scions of the billionaire Al Rajhi banking family. Well, there you go. I mean, the golden touch of the Al Rajhi family continues. Has hired EFG Hermes and S&B Capital to advise on an IPO. This is according to people familiar with the matter to Bloomberg. 2 other local cafes, Barnes and the Coffee Address, have started talks with banks about share sales as well. Patil is also in the mix with advisors from Morgan Stanley for an IPO. There is some activity beyond the consumer space. Healthcare products distributor Temer Group is working with HSBC on an IPO. So there's some IPO, there's an IPO party led by the caffeinated 500,000 Barnes Coffee Address folks. Congrats to them. Coffee shops are everywhere in Saudi. It's awesome. But how about some French roast, Can we do that?
There's a Nils Million here as well. There is a branch in London.
Oh, there you go. I don't know if there's anything more to say to that, but this is yeah, this is congrats.
I think that there's a global shortage of coffee, and so Saudi's also doing their part in kind of reviving the Saudi like coffee production and kind of farming, which is great. So I really, really don't want us to run out of coffee. So we do need to be very careful with this very precious commodity.
That would be, that's, people are like, are you protesting or anything like that? And I'm like, if you take away my coffee, then I'm going to be out here on St. Michael's Road. And I'm going to be the guy with a sign in Maryland being like, hey, where is my coffee? Like, I don't, again, simple man. Okay.
Wrapping up the news.
Wrapping it up. Yeah,
Wrapping it up. Jane Fraser and Lubna Al-Aliyan are now appointed as co-chairs of the U.S.-Saudi Business Council.
Yes, that's such good news.
Right, isn't it? Okay, so the Business Council announced the appointment of two prominent leaders as co-chairs of its board of directors. Jane Fraser, who is the CEO of Citigroup, has been named co-chair representing the U.S. side, while Lubna Al-Aliyan, the chair of Al-Aliyan Group, is going to serve as co-chair representing Saudi Arabia. Fraser succeeds Steve Demetriou, who is the former CEO of Jacobs Engineering Group, who held the position from 2018 to 2024.
The Business Council, okay, so I know a lot about this, worked for a now defunct competitor to the Business Council. First of all, the Business Council is unique. It was created by royal decree and a presidential order, I believe, from both sides. So it's not just like your typical run-of-the-mill business association. It's got that kind of political weight behind it. They do amazing work there. Of course, listeners, viewers of the show know that we had the CEO, Charles Halab, on the show not too long ago, right after President Trump visited Saudi Arabia to talk about the status of U.S.-Saudi relations, but also the Business Council. And Charles is an amazing, energetic guy, and actually just did a call with him last week. He's the man. They have, they were sort of, I want to say this politically in a kind of correct way, I guess I should say. They were sort of in a routine and a pattern of kind of doing what they were doing. And now with renewed leadership and energetic leadership, they're trying to do some new stuff that is actually impactful to the business community on both sides. I think that having, especially Lubna Al-Aliyan, who is just amazing, somebody personally, somebody who many know because of her business success and her brilliance, having her involved in the Business Council is a huge get for the Business Council, and it's going to make a difference for them. I'm a huge fan of what they do, and I'm so excited about this. I'm glad you chose this for the news because this is a huge deal.
Big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Hanaa. Nice to see you. We'll be back next week. Safe travels
Inshallah.
to the eastern
And
province of Saudi Arabia.
I think I'll be back in London before you get there. So
will you? Okay, cool. Well, the point is we got the kingdom covered, like I got us from November to April or May. We haven't figured out the back end of it, but just if you go in and check in on it this week, then we're good. We've got some good coverage, but safe travels.
Inshallah.
Say hello to the
Thank
family
you.
and take care.
You too. Bye.